Check, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I guess all of you are able to hear, and it's right 4. So we will be starting in a moment. All right, so welcome everyone. Thanks for joining in this last webinar for the month of June. My name is Amit, and SQLServerGeeks.com is hosting the series of webinar. Hope you have attended our previous webinars. One was delivered by me. The second one was delivered by Joey D. Anthony on Big Data on Azure. The third one was delivered by Edwin Sarmiento on high availability. And we are really thankful to all our speakers who are taking out time and coming over on board to deliver these webinars for you. And thank you to all of you who have joined in today. It's 4 o'clock, and I know by 5, many of you will leave from your offices. So let me take the opportunity to welcome you, Jen Stirrup. She is a world-renowned expert in BI, business intelligence, analytics, big data, and works very extensively on Microsoft Data Platform Stack. Jen and I know each other for quite some time. We are good friends, and we have spoken at various international conferences together, not as co-speakers, but we have been peer speakers. Jen owns and is the CEO of a company called Data Relish, based out of the United Kingdom, and Jen also resides out of the UK. She is also on the board of directors of PAS. So let me take this opportunity to thank you, Jen. Thank you very much, Jen, for coming on board and delivering this webinar for all of us. Now, over to you.
Thank you very much, Amit, for that. I hope everybody can hear me. So my name is Jennifer Stirrup, and I first of all wanted to say a big thank you to Amit and the SQL Server Geeks team for organising this, and also for inviting me to speak today. So I want to say a big thank you for that, and I'm sure SQL Server Geeks is going to be a great conference, and hopefully we'll see you there. So today in this session we are going to talk about Microsoft Power BI. Now usually the first question I get is, where am I from? I'm actually from Scotland, and so I hope that clears up where the accent's from. Now if you are interested in speaking to me during the session, my Twitter is Jen Stirrup, so that's me there, Jen Stirrup. So please feel free to tweet and say hi, and I'll be very glad to speak to you. Hopefully you get in touch. If you have any questions, Twitter's probably a good way to do that. So welcome to this session. I'm interested in SQL Server 2014, and particularly we're going to focus on Power BI. We're going to look at how we get started with Power BI, and we're going to look at some of the new and exciting things that are being released in Power BI at the moment. So what is Power BI? Well, it's a cloud service that lets you share, collaborate and access your data anywhere on any device. The Power BI service provides a complete self-service analytics solution and fundamentally transforms the business of business intelligence. It's a great service that empowers anyone to securely connect and explore data sources, create and share dashboards, and receive intelligent real-time insights and proactive alerts. So what is the Microsoft Power BI architecture? So we'll have a quick high-level look at this. First of all is you bring your data in various sources. Here we've got SaaS sources such as Salesforce and Marketo, Dynamics CRM and Zendesk. And what we can do then is you've got sources which are resident in Azure, for example. So we have Azure SQL and HD Insight and Azure Stream Analytics. We can also use on-premise systems such as corporate data sources such as your corporate data warehouse, SQL, and we can also now use analysis services tabular. So all of these sources can be accessible using Excel, the Power BI Designer, and the Power BI Analysis Services Connector. Now, as you know, Excel is the world's favourite business intelligence tool. It has over 1 billion users on the planet, so that means nearly 1 in 7 people have access to Excel, and that's just brilliant. It's a runaway success story, and I'm glad everyone loves data as much as I do. So the data then gets stored at powerbi.com. The data can be cached or directly queried in place. And we bring the data to life. We use a Power BI web browser with natural language query, visual exploration, and so on. And what we can do then is access it on mobile devices as well. For that, we can use dashboards, alerting, and visual exploration. We can also use it for real-time dashboards as well, using a push API or Azure Stream Analytics. So how does Microsoft Power BI benefit the audience? Well, it's aimed mainly at 4 main groups. So we have the business users, and they just want to see the data. They don't necessarily want to write reports. They're the person who make the decisions. We've got the BI analyst. They can connect to all of their data, keep it up to date, and they can do some data modeling and authoring. For BI and IT professionals, we have some new things. So we can enable analysis services access for business analysts, and we can share that data as well. We also have access to the data for developers who use an ISV, which is system integrators and vendors and system integrators, and they have access to custom connectors and content packs. And what that means is they can really max your data. To do that, they can give you real-time content and management using the REST API. So how do we get started with Power BI? Well, first of all, it's a very simple sign up. Go to powerbi.com and then simply use it for free. So once we've got started with Power BI, you need to click on the link from the email, confirm you're getting started, and then that's it, you're good to go. It will already give you some samples in order to get yourself started. So once you have signed up for Power BI at powerbi.com, you can connect to the data using built-in connectors and pre-built back dashboards. And you can use existing Excel files as well. So the idea is you go from 0 to hero in 5 minutes using Power BI. And you should be able to get to wherever you need to be quite quickly within 5 minutes. So it's really super quick for you to generate. So if you need more information on that, just to a quick recap, the Microsoft Power BI website is on powerbi.com, and of course there's an MSDN blog on Power BI as well. So let's have a very quick look at Power BI for business users. What it gives you is instant dashboards and a view of the business. It will also give you mobile applications with alerts, and it will allow you to easily share dashboards as well. So it's really interesting. It gives you some instant dashboards and a view of the business. It's really just drag and drop, and the user is able to access the data that they want to see. So you can get some predefined dashboards for popular services, and those will include things like GitHub and Marketo, and we can benefit from meaningful datasets and dashboards created by these partners and Microsoft as well. So they now have new out-of-the-box connectors for things like Salesforce, Zendesk, Marketo, SendGrid, GitHub, Dynamics CRM, and Dynamics Marketing. So if you have an existing subscription to any one or more of these services, you can log in from Power BI and get your rich content in the form of dashboards, reports, and datasets. You also have a Dynamics CRM connector, and who doesn't want to analyze their customer data? That allows you to easily access and analyze your data using a built-in connector. It uses the OData feed to create a descriptive model with all the entities and measures needed to capture information about your CRM activities, such as accounts, activities, opportunities, products, and leads. You have some pre-built dashboards in there as well. So setting up the connection, what we do is first of all is we click Get Data, and then we do select Salesforce, and then you can enter your Salesforce credentials at that point. So you can select a predefined dashboard based on your role. So it's very, very simple to use, and if you have your data in Salesforce, then that should be really straightforward for you to use and to look at. And what's great about it is you can actually use your own data straight away, and that will mean that the resulting dashboard is more meaningful to you. There are a few requirements though. First of all, you need to be connected with a Salesforce account that has API access enabled. The permission should be granted to the Power BI app during the login, and the account has sufficient API calls available to pull and refresh the data. Now, you need a valid authentication token required for the refresh. You need to make sure you have 5 or less Salesforce data sources imported, as Salesforce has a limit of 5 authentication tokens per application. So that's just something to be aware of. So now we'll look at mobile applications and alerts. So you can stay connected with your iPhone and with your iPad. And what we can do there is you can receive any alerts that you want to see about your data. So they're working in the next wave of mobile apps for Power BI. These apps will allow users to access the Power BI dashboards through immersive mobile applications for iPad, iPhone, Windows and Android devices. These should be released hopefully throughout this year, 2015. The iPad app is available and found in the Apple Store, with other apps following in the coming months. This will allow users to receive alerts to important changes in their data, and it will also allow you to share and collaborate with colleagues, so you can take immediate action based on the information that you have. So not only is it active, it's very interactive as well. So Power BI apps provide live mobile access to your most important business information. And who doesn't want a fancy iPad? And certainly I do. So you can view dashboards on your iPhone as well. Dashboards are really a portal to your company's life cycle and processes. And that's why it's so important to be able to capture these on a mobile device. A dashboard as an overview is a single place to monitor the current state of the business. You can create dashboards in Power BI. It also comes with built-in dashboards for some data sources such as Salesforce, and you can share dashboards with your colleagues. So to view dashboards on your iPhone, open the Power BI app on your iPhone and sign in. And you'll see you can tap Dashboards in the bottom bar. And once you've done that, you can tap on a dashboard simply to open it. And very, very simple to use. So how do you interact with the tiles in the iPhone app? First of all, what actually is a tile? A tile is a live snapshot of your data, which is pinned to the dashboard. Their values change as the data changes. You create tiles on a dashboard in Power BI, and then you can see and interact with these tiles in the iPhone app for Power BI. If you want to interact with the tiles, all you need to do is tap on a tile. The tile will open in expanded mode, where it's easier for you to view and explore the data. So in this mode, you can drag the bar to view the values for specific parts of the visualization. In a line chart, you can see the values of the blue and purple lines are listed by month, where the vertical bar intersects with them. So you do have some interactivity as well. In a pie chart, you can spin the pie to show the values of the slice at the top of the pie. So you can tap the icon to share a tile with others as well. So you can annotate the charts and share. Now this is something that business users find specifically very, very useful, because all they want to do sometimes is scribble a little note, and the note itself will appear, and they can just add some extra contextual information to that. So marking up the charts for sharing the insights, all you do is click on the snapshot icon, and then what you can do then is draw a pencil to draw on the chart. You can then click Annotate icon to type text on the chart. So all of these features are on the iPad as well. So the example for the annotations for the iPad work just like in the iPhone too. So setting up your favourites in the iPhone app, for easy access to your most interesting data, you can mark specific tiles as favourites on the iPhone. Only you can see your favourites dashboard, which brings together all your favourite tiles together in one place. So to create a favourite, all we need to do is tap the options icon and then tap Add to Favourites. Tapping the circles in the upper right corner of the tiles you want on your Favourites page. And every favourite tile will have a little star on it, so you know it's one of your favourites. So creating data alerts on the iPhone, to do that you can use alerts for tiles featuring some single numbers, and that's refreshed daily. You tap on the number tile in the dashboard to open, and you simply add the little bell icon in order to add an alert. You can then type numbers to receive the alerts above or below these values, or both. So data sources are often set to refresh manually, although someone can manually refresh them if that's required. When the data in the dashboard is refreshed, and you receive an alert if a new value is above or below the thresholds that you've set. So, configuring notifications for the iPhone, controlling notifications with the Power BI app by adjusting the iPhone settings. So it's very, very simple whether or not you want to allow the notifications or not. If you've got an iPhone, this will be very familiar to you. So we can easily share dashboards as well. To do that, you use the share feature to send your dashboards to others in the organisations. Dashboards are simply assembled from tiles that are related to either reports or to Q&A responses. So you can simply and easily invite the people you want to share with by setting up the invite, type in the email addresses and then click share. Dashboards can be shared with others who are in the same company domain, so they have to be in your domain. Okay. You can send by email as well, and that allows users to sign up for an account if they don't actually have one already. And so that means that for certain people that might be quite easy if they don't have anything like that. So what we're going to do now, oops, I'm not going to do a lab. We're going to look at Power BI for BI analysts. So let's have a look in, and then we'll start to get a bit more technical here, and we'll leave the most technical stuff to the end to keep your interest. So Power BI for analysts, you can connect to all of your data and keep it up to date. It will allow you to have simplified data modelling and authoring, and it will allow you to explore and gain new insights. So first of all, connect to all of your data and keep it up to date. So I hope this answers some questions that I've seen popping up. What data sources can you actually have in Power BI? So here we've got some of the data sources within the Power BI site. So you can have files, analysis services, tabular models, and cloud-based solutions as well. You can select Get Data in Power BI to perform a number of tasks. You can import a copy of the dataset. You can import workbooks from OneDrive for business, or for regular refresh of data. You can use analysis services for the best performance in larger datasets. So here we have the data source and the refresh rate for some of those. So for some you will want to refresh the dataset as often as that data is updated, and for some you want to do that just simply once a day. You can set up the refresh, simply as it's specified here, it's through the dataset. So authentication requirements for refresh. Whenever you're reporting in data that's changing, it's important that the data behind the reports is always kept up to date. Power BI supports a scheduled and manual refresh for a limited number of data sources, and we'll see additional data sources will come online in the future. So it's important to note that the schedule refresh and refresh now in Power BI only support Excel workbooks where Power Query is used to connect to and query data from the following data sources, and you see the table there. If you've manually entered a SQL statement to execute, this can't be scheduled for a refresh. What you'd have to do then is build the query by selecting the tables of views through the UI. If you've created a direct connection to data through Power Pivot, this can't be scheduled for refresh. The alternative is to connect directly through Power Query. So if you're interested in what Power which sources Power Query uses, I recommend that you download it and have a look at it. When you use Power Query, you can then access data sources such as SQL Server, and then pull your data from your SQL Server via Power Query into Power BI. The alternative is to load the query directly into the data model by changing the load settings in the query, and you could refresh that way. So data refresh architecture. First of all, we'll look at provisioning the cloud data source. The credentials can be saved and edited in the cloud service. So there's a one-time provisioning of the PBI, Power BI Designer user, and then that goes to the Power BI Data Movement Service, and those credentials are saved in the secure credential store. And then the second way is you can then add your data source, and then you get prompted for your credentials at that point. So cloud-to-cloud refresh does not require an on-premise gateway, but the data pipeline is optimized for throughput. So what we can see here is the first step, it connects using a connection string, and then it sends the query. The original connection string is validated using the secure credential. And the third step is that query is validated via the SaaS providers. And those providers then connect to the actual data source themselves. For this example, we have Salesforce and we have Dynamics. And the data is then returned via the Power BI Data Movement Service down to the Power BI workbook. So important things to remember, Power BI connects to these data sources on your behalf. These connections require valid accounts that meet the requirements of the specific data source. And that changes all the time, so I'd have a quick look in MSDN for the individual Connect To pages. So I would have a look at that for specific individual data sources. Disable the pop-up blocker in your browser. Some of the data source login flows require popping up additional dialogues. Please ensure that you have pop-ups disabled before connecting to the data sources, so you can complete the authentication flow properly and correctly. Performance will often depend on the data source. Each of the sources have different connection methods, and that will have a different performance impact. The performance will also depend on the size of your account and your data. So, as obvious as it may sound, the more data you have, the longer it will take to load and to refresh the data source. And the thing is, each source may have a different refresh schedule, and that's something you might have to watch out for as well. The refresh schedule is automatically configured for these sources, but many of them can be reconfigured if necessary. What you have to do is select Schedule Refresh on an imported dataset to learn more about the refresh schedule for a specific source. So also be careful not to overwrite data sources as well, as obvious as that may sound. Excel on OneDrive for business data refresh. The data is refreshed on OneDrive once an hour. If you open the workbook in OneDrive Excel, make changes to the data and save it again, then you see new data reflected in your dashboards at that point. So how does the refresh actually work? It's refreshed once every hour, but what you have to do is you can make changes and then you see those directly. If your workbook is stored in OneDrive and it contains a model with connections to other data sources, you can also configure the refresh of those through Power BI. If you want to do that, you can have a look at configuring data refresh. And I'll just get you that link if you need it. So I should say before we proceed, there's a really valuable powerbi.com support website, and you can have a look at that as well. And here's some examples of data sources that support the refresh in Power BI. So what I'm going to do is copy and paste that, put that in the chat window, and I'll send it to the entire audience so that you all have got it. Okay. And I'll get rid of this screen. That's it. Right, so Power BI also has integration with Azure Stream Analytics integration. It was recently released and it can be used to deliver real-time data from the dashboard. Now, for the business intelligence professional, Power BI offers simplified data modelling and authoring, and we're going to have a little look at that now. So to create Power BI content, you can connect data and build reports for Power BI. There's a free download and you can go off and find that. It combines the best of Power Query, Power Pivot and Power View, and it's aimed at business intelligence professionals. It's Excel 2013 is where these reside, and it's Microsoft's premier business analyst tool. It includes rich business intelligence features, and these are fully integrated with the familiar features of Excel. If you don't have access to Excel 2013, the new Power BI Designer can be used to import and model the data, then author and publish Power BI reports to the Power BI service. While it doesn't have the rich analytical features of Excel, it does provide a simple solution especially designed for Power BI content creation. You can download the Power BI Designer, click on the gear on the Power BI dashboard, and then you can run the 32-bit or the 64-bit version of the Designer when you're prompted. So getting started with the Power BI Designer is a small... oops, sorry, I thought that was a video I was going to be able to show you. Fortunately not. So you can access all key resources of Power BI Designer from the startup screen. And first of all, what you need to do is connect Get Data, which we can see here right in the middle of the screen. You can use search in order to find a data source, or you can choose from one of the specific categories. So what we can see here, and I hope it answers one of the questions we received earlier, and the question was, can we actually connect to SQL Server using Power BI? And what you can see here is yes, you can connect to a SQL Server database using the data sources there. So here's a quick example of getting a text file. Click on File, Text, and then Connect, and then you select the file that you want to load. It's quite simple to add a table to the model too. Click on Get Data and select the type of data to add. You can select Query and click on the table to show the data, or you can split columns if you like. That might be quite useful. It can help you to try to tidy up the data. And one of the buttons I usually end up pressing is Use First Row as headers in order to set up the fields. Setting up a join, you can relate the two tables together. To do that, you click on Manage, which you see at the right-hand side. And then what you see there is you select the From table and the To table for the related columns. Once you've done that, you close the Manage Relationship dialog, which we see here. And then you've got automatic join detection will be coming soon. So steps for deploying. What you need to do is save your design to the local drive and then go to your Power BI website and click on Get Data in Power BI Designer and then click on Connect. So we can see those here. So click on Get Data, Power BI, and click on Connect, which you can just see in the middle. And then what you need to do then is click on the report that you created to view in the browser. And that's it. Less than 5 minutes and you've got your data that you're looking for. So what I'm going to do is erase that drawing because it's still there. You don't want to see that. So there's a Power Query-like experience in the Power BI Designer, and there's some very simple examples of things you might like to do, such as connecting to your data. Well, you won't get very far unless you can do that, I suppose. And you want to shape and combine the data as well. You might want to do some grouping, some pivoting, and create some of your own formulas too. There's some new DAX functions as well. So we see here we've got median, for example. Median function returns the median of the numbers in a column. Median X function returns the median of an expression which is evaluated for each row in the table. Percentile X returns the key, whatever percentile you're looking for, the key percentile, of values in a range where k is in the range 0 to 1 inclusive or exclusive. You use this function to establish a threshold of acceptance if you like. For example, you may only want candidates who score above the 90th percentile, and that's what percentile can help you to do. DateDiff returns the count of interval boundaries crossed between two dates. We know this from SQL Server, and it's good to see it in DAX as well. XNPV, which is returns the net present value for a schedule of cash flows, which is not necessarily periodic. You might want to use that for evaluating property, for example. Product X returns a product of an expression evaluated for each row in the table. This takes as its first argument a table or an expression that returns a table. The second argument is a column that contains the numbers for which you want to compute the product, or an expression that evaluates to a column. So just to summarise, the data, the model and the design are all preserved together in the PBIX file. If you connect to an analysis services with the Power BI Designer, you're pulling down the dataset and then uploading it to the Power BI web interface. And if you are looking for more information on that, the latest release information is there. What I'm going to do is, as before, I'll copy it and I'm going to send it to the whole audience. So if you have a little chat window, you see that will come up for you, and you should have it there, just if you're interested in reading it. And hopefully you are. Alright, so let's see what we've got next. Quick demo, we're not going to do any labs, we don't have time for that, I'm afraid. So now we're going to have a quick look at Excel and looking at Excel data. So what we're going to do now is have a little look at Excel, and who doesn't love Excel? I know that I do. So what we can do is use Excel Workbook as a data source for Power BI, and this is a great way to get started. If you just want to play with the data and you find you're running into trouble with data sources, why don't you just pick an Excel Workbook and do it that way? It's a great way to get you started quite quickly. So it allows you to explore and gain new insights as well, and that's really what everybody's looking for, insights from the data. It's not all about just having more data and bigger data, it's about having useful and right data as well. So you can see all of your data in a single pane of glass. Pane of glass. Not a plane of gas. I don't know what I'm talking about there, sorry. So live Power BI dashboards show visualizations and KPIs from data that reside both on premises and also in the cloud, providing a consolidated view across your business regardless of where the data lives. It allows you to simplify how you interact with data. It has natural language query capabilities, and that's built right into the dashboard. That allows users to take questions and receive answers from the data in the form of interactive visualizations. You can then explore the data further by drilling down through the dashboard into the underlying reports and discovering new insights, and then that will allow you to monitor performance as you go forward. You've got some new visualizations as well in Power BI. Those are funnel, combos, tree maps, filled map and a gauge. So you've got lots of toys to play with, and who doesn't want that? So here's some examples of the new visualizations. I'm quite excited to see these. I hope that you are too. Happy to see the combo chart. There's a film map of the United Kingdom. I can see Glasgow in there, that's near where I'm from. So using the drill through in the dashboards. To do that, you click on the tile and then you can drill through to the underlying report. You can use Q&A as well. It's a core set of natural language understanding abilities that works across the data. And you can read more about the kinds of questions you can ask, or the kind of questions about using a question template as well. So here's just a quick example there. So if you're preparing your data model for Q&A, there's a few tips that you might find useful. First of all is make sure your data is in an Excel table or a query, and then that allows you to confirm the names of your tables, columns in the calculated field. It makes sense in the English. You can label a table with things like sales, year and amount, and that just makes it easier to find. So what we can do here is use synonyms and phrasing in order to use Excel Power Pivot for tuning. So extending the Power BI designer for Q&A tuning is in the roadmap, and we should see that at a later point. That's exciting, I think. You can pin tiles to the main dashboard as well. Click on the pin button to take any tile and to display it on your dashboard. Very, very easy to use it. I'm not going to do a demo, but we are going to look at the final section, which is more for the IT professional. So if you're more technically oriented, then this section will be for you. So the first thing we're going to look at is enabling analysis services for access for business analysts. So what this allows you to do is to connect live to an on-premise analysis services model. So what this allows you to do is to realize the benefits of a cloud-based BI solution without having to move your data. With the new Power BI connector for analysis services, you can create a secure connection to SQL Server analysis services from Power BI. When users view and explore dashboards and reports, the system will interactively query the on-premises cube to fetch the data using the user's credentials. With this hybrid solution, you can continue to manage and secure your data on-premise, removing the need to have data to reside in the cloud. So a few questions for you to think about. How does security work with the new SQL Server Analysis Services connector? Well, Power BI customers can now benefit from the role-level security in SQL Server Analysis Services. The Power BI username is passed through to an on-premises analysis services. Analysis Services resolves the username to an authorized user via Azure Active Directory. Note, the organization will need to have Sync set up in order to do that, and then the appropriate role-based security is applied in order to restrict or allow access. Something else for you to think about: how does the data transfer work between Power BI and SQL Server Analysis Services? Well, data is transferred between on-premises analysis services and Power BI through the service bus, and that uses a secure SSL channel. Another thing for you to think about: how does a Power BI connector for analysis services add security risk by opening a port on the firewall? The service bus, which is the underlying transport and relay service used in this scenario, only uses an outbound port. It does not require an inbound port to be opened on the on-premises firewall. It uses a shared secret mechanism to create a secure channel between cloud and on-prem. And finally, will the SQL Server Analysis Services connector work in IaaS as well? Yes, it will, as long as the IaaS virtual machine is domain joined and Azure Active Directory Sync is set up. So those are two main dependencies for that particular scenario. So as we can see here, analysis services and the ability to connect to on-premises tabular models is an excellent solution for allowing companies to leverage their existing investments in on-premises analysis services tabular models. You can access the large tabular models from Analysis Services 2012 and up. There's no need to move any on-premise data sets to the cloud, and for some reasons you may not be able to do that anyway, for example legal requirements. Optimize query performance for interactive exploration, and you can reuse the existing permissions that you've already got in place. So there's plenty of features for you to see why you might find that useful. And we will move that one along. Alright, so how do we get started with the Analysis Services connector? Well, first of all, you have to install the Power BI Analysis Services connector first. Then you sign into the Power BI account, and then you configure. And then what you need to do is use Get Data in the dashboard from SQL Server Analysis Services. This allows you to manage and secure your data on-premise with SQL Server Analysis Services, and your data remains on-premise. But your reports that you create on that data are saved in the cloud. We'll just have a quick look at how we install the Analysis Services connector on the box. So we install the Analysis Services connector on the Analysis Services box by downloading the Analysis Services connector. You simply install it. Then you simply connect in the launch button. So it's much easier than you might think it is. And then what we need to do is sign in to Power BI with your credentials. You can establish a link with the Power BI tenant, configure Analysis Services connector using the wizard, and then you sign in with your Power BI credentials. I'm just trying, I thought I had access to a URL that might help to show that, but unfortunately not, sorry. So you set up the connection to your tabular model, providing server connections, and you simply go to Connect to SQL Server Analysis Services page. You need to specify the domain name, credentials, and provide a description of the connection is always useful so people know what it's for. And once you get data using Analysis Services for your reports, you can set up the connection to the tabular model, click on Get Data, and then select the Analysis Services source. You can then connect to your available models and the perspectives as well in Analysis Services and design your reports like any other reporting source. You're not worried about the actual source where it is, where it's coming from. The main thing you're concerned is that you can access it, and that's always really exciting. You can provision the flow for the Analysis Services connection. There's a few steps here. First of all, you need to configure a Power BI Analysis Services connector, and you use this connector to connect from the Power BI service to your on-premises tabular model. And if you have more than one Analysis Services connector, you need to configure one connector per server, and this is usually done by a server administrator in any case. Once the connector is configured, tabular model databases on the Analysis Services server instance will appear in the SQL Server Analysis Services page in Power BI. And then to create that connection, it requires a Windows account and password with server administrator permissions for the server instance you're connected to. Once these are configured, users will need to have at least read permissions for any tabular model databases that they are connecting to. The connector can run on any domain machine. It doesn't have to be your local machine or the Analysis Services server. It's just acting as a proxy between Analysis Services and Power BI. The connector makes the connection to Analysis Services and passes the credentials of the user accessing Power BI along to the Analysis Services machine. The machine where it's installed is to remain switched on, connected to the network, and able to access Analysis Services at all times. So how does security work with the new SQL Server Analysis Services connector? Power BI customers can benefit from role-level security in SQL Server Analysis Services. The Power BI username is passed through to the on-premise Analysis Services. Analysis Services then resolves the username to an authorized user via Azure Active Directory. And as before, you must have dir sync set up, and then applies appropriate role-based security restricted access. So that's just emphasizing that point. So my machine's frozen, there we go. So sharing with teams through groups, that is coming soon, so you can keep your eye on that. What we have is Power BI for developers. A quick overview, there are some custom connectors and content packs, and there's real-time content and management using the REST API. So a bit more about the custom connectors and the content packs. For ISV and system integrators, you can sign up for the partner program and connect your own connections and content packs like the ones for existing SaaS offerings. Coming soon, Power BI connectors for your data sources. Create a connector that allows Power BI users to connect to your data source and retrieve data. If you're interested in building your own connector, you should get in touch with Microsoft, let them know what you want to build, and they'll come back to you. So that's an opportunity for somebody out there, possibly. So now we'll have a quick look at real-time content and management with the REST API. So the REST API for developers means you can program programmatically access certain Power BI resources, and it uses Azure Active Directory and OAuth and to authenticate the users. You can list all datasets, creates a new dataset, and it allows you to add rows to a table in a dataset as well. You can also clear the rows in the table if you want, and soon we'll have programmatic control to build the dashboards. And it's good to have live connectivity, the custom application to manage the real-time dashboards using the Power BI. So how do we get started with the Power BI API? Well, first of all, you have to register an application. You have to authenticate the Power BI. You need to set Power BI permissions. Then you need to manage the data using the Power BI API. We can get, put, delete or post the data. We can register our application there. And to do that, to allow your application access to Power BI APIs, you need to register your application with Azure Active Directory. This will allow you to establish an identity for your application and specify what resources it needs access to. For more information about registering your app with Azure AD, there's some information about that already in MSDN. And you can see the URL there. Just to make sure you have got it, I will click on it. And then that's just to make sure that you've got access to it. So I'm pasting that into the chat window just now to make sure that you've all got it. Okay, so hopefully you've got it there, if you're interested. Right. So, oops, that hasn't appeared for you at all, is it? So, if you are interested in looking at it, there it is there. Sorry, I've got two screens up in there. So there's that one. I've just sent you the URL for that if you're interested, so you can see that one. Okay, so a quick wrap up in the discussion. And I'm just checking to see if I've got any questions that I have not answered. So I'll just have a quick look. Oh yes, so sorry, there was a spelling mistake, and we should be looking at powerbi.com is the website you want to look at. So powerbi.com. And I will send that in the chat window. And the chat window, you will have the URL. Got that come through to everybody just now. So we have another question, can we define actions on the dashboard? So for example, when a user clicks on a tile, redirecting him to a different dashboard or a different URL. Not at this moment in time, hopefully that will come along. Srikanth, it's a great question, and it's something I'd personally like to see as well. I love the fact that reporting services or Performance Point will allow you to do that, or even Excel will do that if you just put in a hyperlink in the tile, but unfortunately not at this moment in time. So I do apologise about that. It's something that I would like to. So I've got a very quick Power BI quick example to show you here. So what I wanted to show you is I thought I would show you the differences in life expectancy from 1950 onwards, and this is Power BI. You can see it sits in Excel 2010, and what I've got here is average life expectancy. So what we'll do is I filtered this. Just going to make sure you can all see my screen. Yes, you can all see it, so that's good. So I'll show you this now. I've got a few more questions just suddenly popped in. I'll make sure those are answered. Can you suggest some resources or books for further study? Now, yes, I can actually, and I'm going to. I don't know what kind of books you're looking for, but I'll tell you my favourite data visualization books. So I would read anything by this man. His name is Stephen Few. He's awesome with a capital A, and his website is perceptualedge.com. You can see, and I'm just going to put that in the chat window to make sure you've all got it. Yeah, you've all got it. So I would definitely have a look at this, because he has a newsletter you can read. He also has got lots of books in here. His blog is great. It's very, very interesting to read. So, for example, it tells you how not to do it, and I guess that would be how not to do it, because that looks terrible in my opinion. So I'd have a look at that. He's also got books there, because I think if you understand the conceptual architecture of data visualization and how it works, what that can do is help you to make you good at data visualization in any technology you're using, whether that's Power BI or Excel or reporting services. There's a lot of great things there. So I personally like that one. He's also written one on Excel on its own. Too many numbers, that's a good one. Now you see, I've got all of these books. This one, the information dashboard design one, that's good as well. So displaying data for at-a-glance monitoring. I'm going to have a quick look in Amazon, and I'm going to look for Power BI. So we've got this book here, Self-Service Business Intelligence. The one that I'm most familiar with, if you're interested, is the top two, Dan Clark, that might be a good one. High Impact Data Visualization with the Power BI Suite. I've got this book in Power Query for Power BI in Excel. So that's a good one if you want to learn a bit more about how to get data in. I would also have a quick look at the Definitive Guide to DAX. That will help you to really make the most of the underlying data. So hopefully that will help a little bit too. Just to give you some more information. So back to the little spreadsheet I had. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter, and we're going to have a look for, we'll see where India comes in as well, because I'm curious to see how that looks. So we'll add in India too, and off it goes. Now what this is showing is average life expectancy since 1950 using Power BI. So we see it start to appear, so India climbing just above Rwanda and goes up towards the United Kingdom and Denmark. You can see the trajectory over time. And what we see there is you can see Rwanda going down quite a bit. So let's watch what Rwanda does. What I'm going to do is click on the red. I'm going to restart it again. And then what you see is Rwanda less than the others in the set. You see India starting to climb up towards the United Kingdom and Denmark. Then you see Rwanda at this point here actually decreasing. I don't know if you're interested, but the reason that Rwanda decreases in life expectancy, so much at this point is because of the 100-day war that they had in the early 90s. So what we can see here in the 1994, the average life expectancy in Rwanda was 27, and it's even lower than that. If you step back a little bit, before it starts to go down, then we replay, then you see it start to go back a little bit. And at this point, we can see just how far back it starts to go down. So I think when we visualize data, we can see patterns in the data which are not obvious always when we start to look at a table. And the table is great because it gives us detail, but what this gives us is an idea of the pattern. So let's see where India is going over the past. See, it's steadily increasing. And so what we can see there is initially the life expectancy in India. Oops, where's it gone again? Back in. We actually started about here, didn't it? So let's get back there. See, life expectancy in 1963, 44 years was the average life expectancy in India. Start to see increase over time. So what's great, I guess, in the last 4 or 5 decades is that we see that the life expectancy for India goes up and up. And now life expectancy is showing here. We can wave the tooltip over it. 2009, life expectancy 64, which is almost the same as what it is in Scotland. In Scotland it's 66. So with that, I think we shall wrap up. I'm just going to just double check because I think I might have some more questions. I love getting all these questions, and I am on Twitter if anyone's got any questions. Is there any learning video sessions I can share? Yes, there is. I will just get that out for you. And then it's going to be, I've got a YouTube site.com, Jen Stirrup. I am here. I've got a series of playlists, which I hope you can see. So I've got a few up here, which I'm going to put in the chat window. Hopefully you've got there. You can see videos I've liked. I wouldn't bother looking at that. But you can see I've got Pathway to Power BI in here. And I've got a few videos set up. You don't really want to see those. But you get it right now, but you can have a look at them later. Pathway to Power BI. And that gives you some ideas on some videos. And I've got some more which I need to upload as well, which I've just realised. So I'll have a look at doing that quite soon. So is a Power BI Q&A integrated with SharePoint? I believe that it is, and I will just double check. I thought it was Power BI Q and SharePoint. Now what I'm going to do is, my blog is here, jenstirrup.com. So this is my blog here, so if you don't mind, I'm just going to answer that question via my blog, which is there a Power BI Q&A integrated with SharePoint? I believe that it is, but I will go and double check for you. I hope that's okay, Srikanth. So if you check out my blog later today or tomorrow, I should have the answer for you up there. Someone asked how to reach me via email or chat. I'll just give you my email address. My blog is up here and you should be able to contact me on this somehow. Otherwise, my email address, I will I'll share my LinkedIn if you want to send me a LinkedIn message. And that's me. Oops, come back. Alright, so I will share my profile with you. Oops, come back. Public profile, thank you very much. So I'm just going to give you this, and you should be able to email me and connect with me via LinkedIn, and it's a bit of a nice way to stay in touch. So if you've got UK LinkedIn, then I am, and that's me, and that should be it. You should email me through there, and it means we can stay in touch as well, because if you send me a connection, I will certainly accept it, and I look forward to hearing from you. And with that, I think we are just about ready to wrap up. I'll just check on Amit. I'm just going to check. I think there's some more questions. I love getting all these questions instantly, so please keep them coming. And I will. All right. Okay. It's just some thank you messages.
So Jen, hi. This is Amit here. Good time to come in.
Yes, perfect. Actually, I've just answered all the questions and just wrapping up really.
Oh yes. So so Jen, people can ask questions over Facebook group also, where you can answer, because we are hitting 5 p.m. in India now, and we might have to close in another 2-3 minutes.
That's fine. If it's okay, I'll just go into Facebook so people can see SQL Server Geeks, isn't it? And
okay, so
I'll just see if people can find it.
Yeah, I've just pinged you there on Facebook the group URL. Okay, yes. So it will be facebook.com/groups, facebook.com/groups/the SQL Geeks.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Groups and then the SQL Geeks.
Yeah, the SQL Geeks.
The SQL Geeks. Good.
Yes,
and
a thank you note to Jen Stirrup is already up there.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes. So you can please share that URL with all the attendees on your chat window.
Yes.
Or maybe I can also give that.
I'll do that, and what I'll do is I'll make sure I've been sending URLs and answering questions. I'll make sure the information goes up here as well, and just to make sure everybody's got everything. And with that, it just remains for me to say thank you very much to Amit and also to the SQL Server Geeks for allowing me to participate and inviting me along. I enjoyed the session, and it was great to get to know everybody. And if any questions, you know where I am.
Right, thank you, Jen. So friends, please, I have put down in the chat window the group, and feel free to ask any question to Jen in that group, and I'm sure Jen would love to answer your question. So just 2 minutes left. Thank you very much, Jen, for delivering this webinar. I think this was immensely valuable to all of us, and I want to quickly share some quick updates for our audience here. I'm sure all of you already know about the SQL conference, and these are the speakers which we have already announced. Some time back, we did part 2 of the announcement. Joey, Raj, Nauzad, Dave, Satya, Lakshman, Tobias, Vic, all of them are on board. And something that you must be hearing now, Microsoft speakers have started coming on board, and we wanted to delay that purposely because we wanted to just build on the excitement. Sunil Agarwal from USA, Microsoft Core Principal Program Manager, Sudhir Rawat, Support Escalation Engineer, Microsoft India, Anirudh, Head of Microsoft Technology Center in India, Rangarajan Sriram, SQL CAT Program Manager in India, Debarshan Sarkar, and Lara Rubelke have been announced. Ajay Jagannathan is also announced, and we have a few more coming on board soon. So this is the first time ever in India, and we are all super excited that SQL product team is coming down from Redmond to India to give you training, to deliver sessions for you, and I believe this is immensely valuable for the SQL community in India. So make it a point that you attend this conference. 5 tracks, 40 speakers, more than not 70 sessions, but more than 90 sessions now, and this is going to be one gala event, and all of you should attend. There are pre-conferences on 26th of August. It is a full-day training class from 5 masters: Denny Cherry, Alberto Ferrari, Praveen Srivastava, Benjamin, and Janaki Ram. For example, if you're working on Power BI, BI and analytics, business intelligence, you might want to attend Alberto Ferrari's session on Power BI, and maybe even Praveen Srivastava's session on moving from relational to big data. So with this, friends, for any corporate offline company nomination, you can reach out to mamita@peoplewareindia.com. She is our conference coordinator. Take down that email ID for yourself, mamita@peoplewareindia.com. And the conference website is sqlservergeeks.com/summit 2050. If you want to register online, just simply go onto the website and register online. And if you want to get registered via your company, you can take the offline route. Yeah, here is a nice small gift for you. If you're registering online using your credit card, you can use SQL Webinar, a small discount for you there. With this, thank you very much for joining us today. We want to see each one of you in Asia's first SQL conference. Thank you very much. You have a great day ahead.